Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with The Little Princess. Chapter 11, The Magic. Sarah opened the door slowly and peeked in. Rather than an empty and docile room, it was always a comfort to find a friend in waiting. To her delight, there was Ermemgarde sitting in the middle of the bed. She was rather nervous because Melchizedek had appeared and sniffed around the air quite a bit. When he sat up on his hind legs, looked straight at her, and twitched his nose in her direction, she had screamed in terror. "Oh, Sara," she cried, "I'm so glad you came. Melchi is hungry and keeps hunting for food. I tried to coax him back into his home, but he wouldn't go. I like him, but it does scare me when he sniffs right at me. Do you think he'd ever jump on me?" "No," Sara assured her, smiling to herself. "You do look tired, Sara," Ermengarde said, crawling forward on her bed and looked at her. "I am tired," Sara admitted, dropping down on the lopsided footstool. "Oh, there's Melchizedek, poor thing. He's come to ask for his supper. I am sorry, but I have one crumb left. Go home, Melchizedek. I forgot to ask the cook for food because she was so cross." Melchizedek seemed to understand and shuffled back to his home. "I did not expect to see you tonight, Ermi," Sara said brightly. Ermengarde pulled her red shawl tightly around her shoulders. "Miss Amelia has gone to spend the night with her old aunt," she explained. "No one ever comes and checks the bedrooms after we are in bed. I could stay here till morning if I wanted to." It was just at that moment that something happened at the skylight that neither of them noticed at first. A face peered cautiously in the attic. Then whoever it was disappeared quickly and almost as silently as he appeared. Sara, who had been keen hearing, suddenly turned and looked up at the roofs. "That didn't sound like Melchizedek," she said. There wasn't any scratching. It sounded as if something was moving on the slates. "What could it be?" Ermengarde wondered aloud. "Could it be robbers?" "No," Sara said, laughing. "There's nothing to steal." She suddenly broke off in the middle of her sentence. They both heard another sound. They froze, straining to hear. It was not on the roof, but on the stairs below. Miss Minchin was scolding Becky in a loud, shrill voice. Sara sprang off the bed and blew out the candle. "Will she come in here?" Ermengarde whispered, her eyes with fear. "No, she will think I'm in bed. Don't make a sound." It was very unusual for Miss Minchin to come upstairs in the attic, but now she was mad enough to come at least part of the way up, and it sounded as if she was pushing Becky up in front of her. "You bad, dishonest girl," they heard her say. "The cook tells me there have been things missing before." "It wasn't me," Becky sobbed. "I was hungry enough, but it wasn't me. Never." "You deserve to be sent to prison," Miss Minchin screamed. "It wasn't me," Becky wailed. "I could have eaten a whole one, but I never laid a finger on it." "Don't tell me a lie," Miss Minchin shouted, out of breath from climbing the stairs. "That meat pie was supposed to be my late supper tonight. You go to your room this instant." Both Sara and Ermengarde heard Becky run up the stairs and dash in the attic room, and then they heard her door slam shut. "I could have eaten 2 of them," they heard her sob into her pillow. "And I never took a bite. It was the cook who gave it to her policeman fellow." "That wicked, cruel woman," Sara whispered to Ermengarde after Miss Minchin had gone back downstairs. All was still. "The cook takes things herself and then says Becky steals them. Becky's so hungry she sometimes digs for bread crusts out of a garbage pail." Ugh. Suddenly, Sara covered her face with hands and dissolved into tears. Ermengarde was shocked that the always courageous Sara was actually crying. A new dreaded possibility suddenly occurred to her. "Sara," she asked, I don't want to be rude, but are you ever hungry?" "Yes, I am," Sara admitted sadly. "And it makes it worse to hear poor Becky. She's hungrier than I am." Ermengarde was shocked. "Oh," she cried woefully, "and I never knew." "I didn't want you to know," Sara said. "It would have made me look like a street beggar." "You could never look like a street beggar," Ermengarde told her. "You don't have the face of one." "Oh, Sara," she cried. "How silly I was not to have thought of this before. My favorite aunt sent me a box of food. It's got cake in it, little meat pies, jam tarts, figs and oranges, chocolate and fine tea. I'll go back to my room and get it, and we'll eat it right now." Feeling faint, Sara almost fell backward. "Do you think you could?" she whispered. "I know I could," Ermengarde said. And she ran up to the door, opened it slowly, and listened. And then she went back out and whispered to Sara, "The lights are out. Everyone's in bed. I can creep down and no one will hear me." It was such a delightful idea. The two friends clasped hands. A sudden light appeared in Sarah's eyes. "Ermy," she whispered, "let's pretend. Let's pretend it's a party. And oh, won't you invite the prisoner in the next cell?" "Yes, yes," Ermemgarde whispered. "Let us tap on the wall now. The jailer won't hear a thing." Sara went to the wall. Through it, she could hear Becky crying softly. She knocked 4 times. "That means come to me through the secret passage under the wall," she explained to Ermemgarde. "I have something to tell you." Sara heard 5 knocks on the wall. Then the door opened and Becky appeared. "Miss Ermemgarde has asked you to come in," Sara said, "because she's going to bring a surprise box back. We're going to pretend it's a party." "And you shall be very surprised," Ermemgarde added. "I'll go this minute." She was in such a hurry she tiptoed out of the attic. She unknowingly dropped her red shawl. No one seemed to notice it. "Somehow, something always happens," Sara said, "just before things get the worst point. It is the magic that does it. If only I could remember that always. The worst thing ever never quite happens because magic's always there." Just at that moment, she spied Ermemgarde's shawl on the floor and picked it up. "That'll make the perfect tablecloth for our party. I'm sure Ermy won't mind." Working together and believing in the magic, they made the very attic room beautiful just by spreading Sara's thin blanket down and pretending there was a soft rug on the floor. In the trunk Sara had used when she lived her life of a princess, they found a dozen small white handkerchiefs they decided to use as plates. Sara held up an old summer hat that she had finished out of the old trunk. There was a wreath with flowers on it. With a flourish, she pulled off the wreath. "These are garlands for the feast," she said grandly. "They'll fill the air with perfume. There's a mug on the washstand. Becky, oh, and bring the soap dish for the centerpiece." Darting to the trunk again, Sara pulled out some red and white tissue paper that she twisted into little bonbon dishes. And then she combined the tissue paper with the remaining flowers to decorate the candlestick that was to light the feast. Only the magic could have made it a more than an old tablecloth that was covered with a red shawl and some trinkets pulled from a long unopened trunk. "This is a banquet hall," exclaimed Sara, "a vast red chamber where feasts are held. It has a high roof, a musician's gallery, and a huge fireplace with blazing oak logs. It is brightly lit with candles twinkling on every side." "It's beautiful, miss," Becky gasped again. Just at that moment, the door opened. Ermengarde came back in, staggering under the weight of her food basket. "Oh, Sara," she cried out, seeing all the preparation that Sara and Becky had made. "You are the cleverest girl I've ever known." "Isn't it wonderful?" Sara said. "These are things out of my own trunk. I asked my magic, and it told me to go back and look again." As the items were taken out of the picnic basket, the cake, the fruit, the bonbons, this feast became a splendid occasion. "It's like a real party," cried Ermengarde. "It's like a queen's table." Becky sighed. "Where did you find all this food?" Then Ermengarde said, "Pretend you are a princess now, Becky, and this is your royal feast." "It's your feast," said Sara. "You must be the princess, and we are all the maids of honor." "I want too fat," Ermengarde cried. "I don't know how. You be the maid of honor." "Well, if you want me to," Sara said. "Advance, fair damsels, and be seated at the banquet table. My noble father, the king, who is away on a long journey, has ordered me to treat you to a feast. Hi-ho there, minstrels, strike up your violins and horns." Princesses, she explained to Becky and Ermengarde, always had minstrels to play at their feast. "Pretend there is a minstrel gallery up there in the corner. Now we will begin." They had barely time to pack up pacificate when all three jumped to their feet and rushed to the door, listening. Someone was coming up the stairs. Each of them recognized the loud, heavy tread of footsteps and knew something terrible was about to happen. "It's Miss Minchin," cried Becky and dropped her piece of cake on the floor. "Yes," said Sara, her eyes glowing larger in her small face. "Somehow she has found us out." With one blow of her hand, Miss Minchin threw the door open. She was pale herself, but it was from rage. She looked from the frightened faces of the banquet table to the brimming over the food to the old trunk that was still open. "I've been suspecting something of this sort, but I didn't expect anything this outrageous," she exclaimed. "Lavinia was telling the truth." So it was Lavinia who had somehow guessed their secret and had betrayed them. Miss Minchin stormed over to Becky and slapped her in the face. You Impudent creature, she screamed. You're to leave this house first thing in the morning. First thing, do you hear? And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.